Hey, welcome back. My name is Cole Cuts, and my puppy on the floor over there is Bilbo Flea Baggins. And today we're going to discuss Season 2, Episode 8, Sister Wives in Holiday Crisis. The wives struggle to accept that this will be their last Christmas in Utah. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, Sister Wives, a red flag rewatch. This is a podcast for disenchanted fans of Sister Wives. Fans who fell in love with the Brown family, watched their precious kids grow up, and became enchanted with all the love, only to be told it was all a lie. Nothing was as it seemed. We were bamboozled, fooled, duped, tricked, conned, swindled, hoodwinked. What did we miss? Where did it go wrong? Come help me find out as we watch from the beginning. So it starts out, for Christmas this year, we decided to take the family up to the snowy mountains in Utah and spend Christmas at a remote cabin. And it's showing everybody in the cabin, and they're all coughing. Wonder if Leon got them all sick, because she's been coughing for a few episodes now. If you notice Gwen, she kind of laying on the couch, so I'm wondering if she's not feeling sick too. They're all sitting in this living room area, and they're kind of piled on top of each other. There's probably only 2-3 bathrooms in that house, and there's 21 people, and I just worry about that plumbing. Danelle said it was sunny and the sun was shining off the snow, and Christine says the kids acted like they'd never seen snow before in their whole life, but it's so funny because we live in snow. And Danelle says there's something about being somewhere different. This is awesome. Because when they left, they were playing in the snow in their front yard, but now they're all excited about this snow here. And Kody says 4 months ago we went public, and through the paper we learned that the Lehigh City Police were doing an investigation on our family. Christine says, well, then just recently we just found out the investigation is over. They're making us very, very nervous. So what they're talking about is they just found out, as Donna Kelly, the attorney for Utah County, stated, the Browns have definitely made it easier for us by admitting to felonies on national TV. You can expect a decision in 60 to 90 days. So that's what Christine is talking about. Now they're starting to get worried. And we have discussed this, and I'm not going to get too much into it. The Browns have 3 bankruptcies on their record. Janelle in 97, Kody in 05, and Christine in 2010. And it was mentioned on the document, allegedly, according to my sources, it said that Kody misrepresented his family structure to receive government assistance. And I told you this, that the producers, before they even pushed record on their cameras, they had contacted the Attorney General's office about doing this show, and they were informed that prosecutors had a policy of not pursuing polygamy alone. So the only way that they would get in trouble is if there's something else involved, such as welfare fraud, underage marriage, child abuse, human trafficking, any of those things that come along with the seedy side of polygamy. That would really be the only way they got into trouble. I think their real fear is that they're not going to get in trouble for just polygamy. They're going to get in trouble for some other criminal activity that they have done. As I've mentioned before, if they truly wanted to be an advocate for polygamy, he would have stayed where he was, and we could have seen what they do to people who are polygamists. And he had the potential to make some real change because he would have been on a platform. But the thing was that it wasn't just polygamy. His whole family has been misrepresenting their family structure in order to receive government assistance. And he had 3 bankruptcies declared by different women on his debt. So there was some fraud going on. And so I think the powers that be sat Kody down and said, look, we don't have the time or the resources or the energy to deal with this. If you could just please leave Utah, that would be great. We will drop it if you just leave. Because they did make the statement after they left that the Browns no longer live in their state, so they're not going to pursue it. I think that's why Kody's trying to get out of town, because he does have grounds to get in trouble for some real legit stuff. So I think that's why he's running. But anyway, so the whole family is scared, and I understand that. I can see why everybody's on edge, because Kody may very well be arrested. Who knows? Janelle said there's some discussion about what's the next step for our family. And Christine says historically, when polygamists have been investigated, my grandfather, for example, the wives and him were all sent off to jail, and then the family got separated. The kids were separated. That's just not something that we want to happen. Robyn says if you look at the history of it, we really shouldn't be here anymore. We need to be somewhere else. Like maybe in Las Vegas with stepdaddy Paul. Maybe, maybe. James from My Take on Reality had said, why Las Vegas? Why didn't they go to Wyoming? Because they have a ton of family in Wyoming. Why did they go to Wyoming? And they went to Las Vegas for Robyn. That's where her family was. That's where stepdaddy Paul was. And she wanted to go down there, so they did. And they're talking about the hot tub. The kids want to get in the hot tub. And Maddie's trying to talk her family into letting them get into the hot tub. And Kody's like, no, you're not going to be warm enough to make you feel good. You don't need to be getting in that hot tub. If it's 97 degrees and you're 98 degrees, it's not going to be comfortable. So Kody's trying to talk them out of getting out of the hot tub, saying it's not going to be comfortable. Janelle is looking at the hot tub and she goes, I'm scared it's going to give you a heart attack. You're going from extremely cold to extremely hot. And Maddie's like, no, it's only like 4 feet from the door. We'll be fine. It'll be great. Maddie says, she's talking to the camera now. She says, when my mom told me they were moving, I told her she couldn't make me go, and I wasn't going. Maddie has always kind of stood up for herself. I appreciate that. Leon says, we cried a lot, and it's showing all the kids on the couch. And Maddie says, I just had all these plans and they were all down the sink. Logan says, now we're told within a matter of weeks we got to be out of the state. I have this very limited time to tie up all my loose ends. This whole thing about him uprooting his kids and pulling them away, the whole thing feels icky. I don't like it. It did not have to be done that way. It did not. I just hate that Kody didn't care enough to try to find an alternative, because there was no reason why they had to go. I understand Kody having to get out of the state, and I maintain to this day that him and Robyn should have just left the state. Went down to that rental house that stepdaddy Paul has already found for her, and him go down there and they stay there at least until summer to finish out the school year and get everything straight and find housing and do it responsibly. But no, they just pick everybody up and they run away in the middle of the night, and the cars are breaking down and they don't have anywhere to stay and they just don't know where they're going to land, which is the most irresponsible parenting I've ever seen in my life. You don't just say we're moving and have no plan. I don't understand these people. It shows Hunter and Garrison in their bathing suits. Hunter goes to get in first, and his feet are cold, and he puts his feet in the water, and I imagine that did hurt. He goes, my feet are cold, it hurts. You see Maddie, Hunter, and Savannah in the water, and they're all having a good time. Kody says, that actually helped their attitude a lot. Yeah, the hot tub was something that got them all excited. You're the one telling them they shouldn't be getting in it. Then Kody, the asshat that he is, he grabs a big chunk of snow and throws it into the hot tub. And he thinks he's being so funny. And he just got through saying that it's going to be hard to get the temperature at a right setting so that they'll be comfortable. And he's throwing snow into the hot tub. I think he cannot stand that the camera is pointed at somebody else. And Kody says, well, I'm going to go knock some snow off the roof. There's some snow and ice that have frozen over the roof. He's taking a shovel and he's banging at it and he's trying to get it to come off the roof. Janelle's looking up and saying, you don't need to do that. Can you stop doing that? There's no reason for you to do that. Seems pretty dangerous. He said, this thing is solid. It's not coming off. And I'm not going to do something stupid. And then the whole thing falls off and he gets snow in his face. And he says, is that what you wanted? Wow. Kody said the hill down to the cabin was a natural sledding haven. So there's this big drift. It was straight up and down, so the kids were able to come down there, and it shows Robyn and Kody and Meri all sitting together going down the thing. And they say, Meri's got this crazy streak, and she gets a little glint in her eye. And it shows Meri, and she goes up the drift, and then she kind of just sets down behind it, and she kind of hits the house. Hunter and Christina's inside the kitchen, and she's cooking. And Hunter yells out the window, yeah, go, Meri. They pan the camera over to her and she's like, yeah, beat that. So I don't think she hurt herself, but she did get to the top of that drift. And Robyn says, we were in the cabin every single time they were doing anything. I look at the older kids and I would think, I know they're sitting there thinking this is the last Christmas here in Utah. I know they're sitting there thinking, what is next? Aspen says, I'm not mad. I'm just very sad about it. I don't want to leave all my friends here. Logan says, it's not just that. It's the kind of a scare factor. Why are we moving? If we don't, they could potentially split us up and we have no choice but to move. And Maddie says, we all know what we're leaving behind. Christine is in the kitchen and she is pulling out a turkey and that thing is beautiful. But the only thing I can think of is you need about 3 or 4 of them turkeys. How are you going to feed all them people off one turkey? Meri says that the kitchen could have been a little bit bigger, maybe a little more counter space, a lot more counter space. Robyn says, I felt like it was kind of Christina and Meri's kitchen. Robyn says, I actually probably should assert myself more. Christine says, I think that's all it is. I think Robyn didn't even want to be in that kitchen because she is not a cooker. She says, I think you just should assert yourself more because you're probably used to when you come over, it's our kitchen. It might be something like, I don't want to infringe on anybody. You just don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Christine says, all right, everybody, we have 5 minutes till dinner. And Meri says, yeah, we all knew it was Christine's kitchen. It's okay. I didn't have a problem. The thing is that Christine probably planned out all the meals. She probably went shopping for all the supplies. She probably packed all the supplies up. She probably got them all in the car. She probably has a menu. She probably has an idea of what food is going to be served one day. That's how Christine contributes to her family. She's a valuable asset because of that. And I think she semi enjoys it. So why not let her do it? But especially if the kitchen is small. They're decorating cookies, and Kody puts a little dab of icing on Savannah's nose and then puts a little red dot on there. So it's almost like she's Rudolph, and it is so cute. So cute. Kody does things, little snippets of things that shows that he was good with the kids when they were little. Kody says, I love this experience. There's one time when I'm watching all the wives in the kitchen work together, knocking hips, and I was really pleased to see the experience. They were bantering back and forth. They were having a lot of fun. Robyn said he got really kind of cute about it. Like, all my wives are in the kitchen together cooking. And Janelle said, very interesting to hear Robyn's perspective because my domestic skills are significantly lower than some of the other skills I have. So it's like I really don't know what to do. And so a lot of times, especially when it comes to cleaning or cooking when we're all together, I am just disengaging. Like you could see that she's kind of standing in the living room while everybody else is in the kitchen. And I don't know what she could have done to help anyway, because that kitchen was so small. Christine said, I don't consider you less domestic. And Janelle says, well, no, it's just more that when I don't engage over the years, I would get comments at the very first about being lazy or whatever. And all those old tapes are playing. She is totally talking about Meri. And if you look at Kody and Meri's face, I took a picture on YouTube and she is talking about how bad they were to her, verbally abusive, especially Meri the first few years. Janelle was not as strict about cleaning and cooking as Meri was. Meri would call her lazy. And so she's remembering that now when she's not helping in the kitchen. She says all those old tapes are playing in her head. And Christine says, what do you think would make that better? And Janelle said, I don't know. She said, just don't expect me to help much in the kitchen when we're all together like that. And that does make sense. Janelle said, so after dinner, it was time for our very special Brown family Christmas Eve tradition. They're handing out Meri's pajamas. All the kids are opening up their pajamas at the same time. And Meri says, since Mariah was 2, I've been making pajamas for the kids for Christmas Eve, and I give them to them every Christmas Eve. They know to expect them. Janelle says, it's so funny because we started with the pajamas, but I don't know how the fashion show evolved, but it is awesome. We do it every year. And it shows all the kids coming down the stairs in their pajamas doing like a little fashion show catwalk thing. Christine brings Truly down and is holding her out like the Lion King. And then they do a group picture. I think that's a fun tradition. Kody says it's Christmas morning. The kids are about to wake up. And again, they're waking the kids up with cameras in their faces. I wish they would quit doing that. That's a horrible way to wake up. Garrison gets up and he asks the cameras, do you like my jammies? And Logan's looking at the presents. He goes, it's a huge pile. Janelle says the thing is, it's like 3 presents times 21 people. There's a lot every year. Meri says the kids draw names of one of the other kids and they choose a special gift for this one child. So for me, it's the funnest part watching them because the one who gives the gift is almost more excited than the one who's getting the gift. Robyn has given Meri this statue. Robyn loves these little knickknacks. Yeah, they're cute, but all I can think about is those little statues. I have a few of them. I've gotten a few as gifts over the years, or I thought something was cute and I may have picked it up. But all I can think about is those are going to sit there and they're going to collect dust and you're going to have to dust them off. And some kid is going to knock them over. It's going to break. Those little things like that Robyn has, all those little dolls and precious moments. I'm always listening to podcasts about how to minimize. One podcaster said that everything in your house takes up space in your head. Like when you're looking around, you don't realize it, but you're registering everything you're looking at. If it's busy, 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 lots of stuff, you can give yourself anxiety without even realizing it because you've got all this stuff. And that's why when you walk in a room and it's completely clean and it's bare, you have kind of a sense of calm because your brain is not registering every little thing. Whenever I see people get gifts like this, I'm like, yeah, that's cute. But at the same time, I'm like, that is going to be sitting somewhere getting dusty. You're going to have to move it around. Meri says, I love the gift from Robyn about sisters. It was a kind of a sweet little thing between her and I. Robyn says that's what's cool about having a sister wives is you kind of develop the sister-like relationship. Christine says there will be times when we're closer to one sister wife than another sister wife. It all ebbs and flows. Kody, with his narcissistic self, says, has there ever been a time when you're closer to a sister wife than to me? And he's looking at Christine, and Christine looks kind of scared. She's got like this wide-eyed, like she's not quite sure how to answer. And he says, I'm just curious. And she says, no, one word, no. And he said, really? Robyn says, it's like comparing apples and oranges. And Kody said, well, I'm just wondering. And I'm wondering maybe if he's upset about the relationship between Christine and Janelle and the fact that they're a little closer sometimes. He might have a little jealousy about that. And so they're opening presents, and it shows McKelty and Hunter, and they're opening a phone. They both got a phone. And this, oh my Lord, Kody, oh my gosh. This is one of the worst. I hated this about Kody, but Christine's talking about McKelty and Hunter. They got a phone because we might be moving. I got McKelty a cell phone. She said, I wanted her to have contact with her Utah friends. Kody gets down in her face, this close to her, I mean, just an inch or two from her ear, and says, are you still confused about whether or not we're going to move? And Christine's wide-eyed, and she says, yep. That mother trucker. If that wasn't the most, that was the creepiest. And I just pray that he didn't do that a lot to her. You know what I mean? Because it was the most unhealthy, abusive way to talk to a wife that I have ever seen, like right down in her ear, 2 inches away, and said, are you still confused if we're going to move or not? Like he is trying to scare her. And Robyn, I'm going to give her kudos. And I know nobody really likes when Robyn gets kudos, but I'm going to be fair on this podcast. And when Robyn does things, like the last episode, her eyebrows look good. And I told the world her eyebrows look good. And I'm going to do it again if they look good again. Robyn says, look, she has a choice just like all of us. So she's pulling Kody in like, you need to stop. You need to stop. And Christine says, I don't want to move. I don't want to move our kids. I don't want to move our family. I like where we're at. Kody says, you want something miraculous and something I don't even know, but I don't think I can change my mind. Christine says, I know, but I don't think you're even listening to my point of view. And Kody says, I am listening. And he said, well, you say we're going to move regardless of what we say. So how is that listening to my point of view? Robyn tells Kody, Kody whisper here, she says, tell her why you think we should move. Christine says, I just don't want to make a big decision in fear. Kody says, I'm sorry. I know you feel like we're making a decision in fear. I've made a decision for me. Christine looks at him and says, I'm coming with you. Kody says, well, I made the decision for the whole family. I'm the leader. Should I not be the person that does that? And Christine said, yeah, you are the leader. I understand that. We chose you to be the leader. I'm just having a really time with feeling like there's no possibility of me having a choice. And Kody says, based on the need for this family to function in peace, we need to move. And it's not out of fear. It's about taking control of our lives. And Christine says real quietly, I just don't want to. And Kody says, well, sorry. Like I said, there is no reason why he had to drag his whole family down there like that. I know they probably said your family has to stay together in order to get paid for this show, but I mean, if he's truly scared and he truly cared about these kids, I feel like he should have let Janelle and Meri and Christine behind. No, Leon definitely didn't want to go. So he could have left those 3 wives behind and went down there by himself with Robyn and gotten out of the state and at least finish out the school year and at least find somewhere to live and at least do the responsible thing and then just beg TLC. Kody used to drive that far every weekend to see Robyn. He could drive back to Lehigh and make videos or they could meet him or something. It could have been worked out, but he just was so dead set. It's just them getting on the snowmobiles and they're riding around and that did look fun. And Meri says, we were hoping that this vacation up in the cabin would be something that would distract older kids from thinking about the move so much, but we could tell that it was still in the back of their minds. And he says, if we stay, there's a potential that our dad could go to jail and our family would be split up. Aspen said, we all want to stay together as a family. Kody says, nobody wants to have to do this, and it's a major challenge for all our children. I understand all of that. I feel like on some level, in spite of any potential collateral damage, the emotions of the children moving to different school, financial struggle, it'll be because of this change. In spite of all that, I feel like I know what needs to happen. And Christine says, I thought you wanted to move. I always felt like you were excited to move and you want to move and start over again. Kody goes, I'm just doing it for the sake of leadership. If I don't go optimistically, Christine says, so you don't want to move? And Kody said, well, if I'm kicking and screaming, then what do you think my children are going to do? Christine says, well, I thought you wanted to move. I didn't know you were being optimistic. And Robyn's shaking her head. Cody's looking at Robyn. And that's the thing, is I do think Kody wants to move because every 5 years he has moved somewhere. This family has moved so much. Even Janelle says every 5 years or so he gets real restless and he says, we have to go, we have to go, we have to go. And you even see, like, when they're looking for houses, he is super excited. Remember when he pulled up in this cul-de-sac area and there was these houses together and he's making this yes, 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 like he is excited. So he's lying here when he says that he doesn't really want to go, because he does want to go. He wants to go. And Leon says, I just don't think that it's fair. And Hunter says, anybody else will probably do the same thing. It's either stay or we get separated. It's better to keep our family together. It shows McKelty, and she's holding Truly, and they're both asleep on the couch, and it is so sweet. And I bet those kids pass Truly around and take care of her a lot. Kody said that's the biggest thing, leaving a home that they love, leaving a school that they love, leaving the relationships they have. It's all very challenging. It's very sad. Patty says, which she says here is pretty epic. She says, I'm sad to leave my best friend. I'm sad to leave her behind because we were going to be legends in this town. I imagine they probably had a pretty good situation because they were on TV, and they probably were a little bit popular, and they had it pretty sweet where they were at. Hunter says, this makes me furious. He says, I'm actually very, very mad that we're leaving. He starts crying. And the only thing I can think of is Kody is such an asshat for doing this to these kids. And Maddie says, you're going to see me cry because Hunter never cries. Hunter says, yeah, I've got a lot of friends. There's a ton of family. I've got football. It's going to be tough. And this just makes me furious, just furious. I hate it. I hate it. But anyway, so like I said, I don't think that Kody should have done this. I don't like to use the word abuse. I feel like it's more of a neglect type thing. You're moving this whole family to a whole different state. You have no plan as to where you're going to stay. You get down to this rental house and there's not enough beds. It's all for Robyn. All of it's for Robyn. And it didn't have to be done that way. He did not have to do this to his kids. This is traumatizing, what he's doing here, because he goes, we're leaving, and there's nothing you can do about it. Christine's family is there. Everybody's there. They have a set thing, and they have no plan. I don't like it at all. I don't like Hunter crying. I don't like the way he talks to Christine. Any man that gets 2 inches from your ear and says, are you confused about something? That is not healthy relationship behavior. I'm willing to bet he probably does that often to her. You can tell she is scared. Eyes are wide. She's grown into herself. This man is an asshat. From him throwing ice into the hot tub to all that, he is just something else. This was not a good episode for Kody. Anyway, so that's the end of that episode. And so this is the part of the episode where I come up with my tell-all question. And my tell-all question is for Christine. Knowing what you know now, seeing how he's treating you, do you wish that you had done something just to stay in Lehigh and just let Kody go to Vegas? Kody and Robyn could have just went to Vegas and got themselves settled and y'all came later. Nobody here wants to go. Nobody. Nobody but Robyn and Kody want to go. None of them. And later, when they're telling the kids, the only kid that's semi-okay with it is Gabe. And he says, I don't want to go, but I'm excited about something different. And so that he's the only one that has any inkling of maybe being okay with it. Everybody else is crying here. Everybody else is traumatized. Everybody else thinks it's a horrible idea, but he doesn't give a shit. He don't care. Kody could have came home on the weekends. Christine, with the knowledge you have now, with how it went down, what happened, do you if you given the chance, would you have stayed knowing what you know now? Or was the sacrifice worth the end goal? Because ultimately they did get down there. They realized there's a whole different world out there that they can be self sufficient. They can be their own person. They can have some money. They can get out of poverty. They can get an education. They can have different thoughts. Um, she could get out of the marriage and meet David, who really loves her. I mean, ultimately, it did end up being a good thing, but knowing what you know now, would you have left? So, anyway, so that's my question. It's for Christine, and I think that's it. All right. Well, thank you for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.
That's it for today. If you like my podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to reach me, you can always reach me at redflagrewatch@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time.
I went to find some camouflage pants, but I couldn't find any. What did the grape say when it got stomped on? Nothing. It just let out a little whine. It let out a little whine. That was a good one. All right. See y'all next time.